very different in tone, tonality. For 77 years, the Indian state has claimed to stand above faith. But for Hindus, the story on the ground looks very different. A story of restraint, denial, and selective sensitivity, where Hindu belief is repeatedly treated as a problem to be managed, not a right to be protected. In 1951, India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru opposed the reconstruction and public celebration of the Somnath Temple, not on legal grounds, not on constitutional grounds, but because he feared how it would look abroad. Nehru was unhappy with the restoration and grand inauguration of Somnath. Letters have now been put into the public domain by the government. The Prime Minister has written a blog quoting those letters. Nehru was warning that temple inauguration, the Somnath Temple inauguration, created a very bad impression abroad. He was more bothered about people and the impression abroad. Nehru tried to limit ceremonies, radio coverage to downplay this issue, which is linked with national pride, said the Prime Minister. His concern was foreign perception, not the sentiments of Hindus. Despite his opposition, Rajendra Prasad, the then president, proceeded with the inauguration. There are letters that prove this point. Letters written by Nehru, to believe it or not, the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, conveying his disenchantment and disappointment with Hindus of this land, Hindus of India, for seeking to reconstruct the Somnath Temple. Hindu sentiment was secondary. Foreign perception came first. President Rajendra Prasad went ahead with the inauguration, but the message from the political establishment was clear. How do we know all of this? Because a 1951 letter has emerged from Jawaharlal Nehru to Liaquat Ali Khan. It's all there, viewers, where he's even opposing the fact that the gates of Somnath's temple were looted by invaders. He said this is all completely false. Where are the gates, viewers? The hallowed gates made of precious materials. He said that there is a desire to glorify Mughal invaders behind the temple block bid. Nehru in his letter cited secularism and diplomatic concerns. Fast forward to 2006, viewers, 2026 rather. Tamil Nadu, courts give the green signal. The Madras High Court upholds the right of Hindus to light the deepathoon. The Supreme Court refuses to interfere. Yet the Stalin-led DMK government digs in its heels, blocking the lighting of the deepathoon. Law and order is cited, harmony is invoked, but the result is familiar: a Hindu ritual stalled by the state. Yes, viewers. You have a situation, and these are parallels. From Nehru to Stalin, from Somnath to deepathoon, different eras, same instinct: appeasement over equity, restraint for one faith, latitude for others. Tonight on The Hard Facts, we ask the uncomfortable question: has the Hindu majority consistently got a raw deal from the Indian state, and is this what secularism was meant to be? And we're going to pose these questions tonight to the incomparable S. Gurumurthy, who's an ideologue, member of the RSS, editor of the Thuglak, a magazine that is very well known all across the country. Let's go straight across to Mr. Gurumurthy and begin a conversation and ask him whether over 77 years, whether it's Nehru or MK Stalin, is there some sort of an ideological connect? And if so, how deep-seated is it? Let's go across. Mr. Gurumurthy, thank you very much for speaking with me, and we always have cherished your great service to a particular cause, and that cause is now finding sympathetic ears, at least in some quarters of the judiciary. So I want to first begin by asking you to comment really on this entire deepathoon issue. The Madras High Court has upheld the right of Hindus to light the deepathoon, as you know. In your reading, is this merely a religious rights judgment or a larger constitutional pushback against perhaps decades of overreach in Hindu practices?
Actually, first it is a clear condemnation of the state government. That's the core of the judgment. That there was really no issue and that the deepathoon is not what the state began to narrate it to be, that it belonged to the Jains and it is some survey stone. All these were later constructions to deny the Hindus of their legitimate right. So, what the court said is very important, that they created a dispute between Hindus and Muslims which did not exist. And so, the state, instead of trying to solve the issue, instead of trying to bring together both the communities to find a common ground for peace and harmony, it played the role of a villain. This is the most important aspect of the Madras High Court judgment. And it said that the state, for the state to say that a small team of people going and lighting the lamp would create communal conflagration is something which is a ghost that they are raising. You know, I don't think in recent times any government has been so firmly condemned and criticized as this government. Of course, this government has neither the brain nor the sensitivity to understand this. So, my view is it is this kind of unreasonable attitude to the genuine aspirations of the Hindus that produces mass movements. Ram Janmabhoomi was produced like this in the 1980s and 90s, when I lived through the Ram Janmabhoomi movement and was very much part of it from diverse fields, including journalism, including the BJP, RSS, and even from the perspective of the Mandal parties. So, politicians make a simple issue difficult and complex because it fetches them votes. For example, take Ram Janmabhoomi. In 1990, KK Mohammed is on record that the Muslim side was willing to concede. I was part of the negotiations at that time. Sharad Pawar, Bhairav Singh Shekhawat were parties to the Muslims and Hindus submitting their respective claims and finally saying that they were willing to give up that place. But it is the leftists and the Congress who prevented an alignment between Hindus and Muslims on this. So, what a huge benefit the nation would have derived if the Hindus and Muslims had joined together in 1990 to build the Ram temple without going through this whole process for the next 20 years. This is politics. What was played at the national level is being played in Tamil Nadu. But unfortunately, the DMK, which has lost its ideological game, is hanging on to the fact that the politics of India, the politics of Tamil Nadu, is different from the society in Tamil Nadu. The society in Tamil Nadu is Hindu. If there is any state which is most Hinduized in terms of faith, it is Tamil Nadu. But it doesn't have political representation. Like Hindus did not have political representation at the All India level till the Ram Janmabhoomi changed the ecosystem. In Tamil Nadu also, the ecosystem in politics is not representative of the Hindus. Now the situation is changing. I think the DMK has committed a blunder in where the Muslims did not have any objection, they created it. The court said the Muslims even claimed that the deepathoon belonged to them, which was nobody's case. and the state government asked the Waqf board to file an affidavit. Can any government go this far to create enmity between two communities which are having a history of hostility? This is the most irresponsible stand the state government took. And for them to say they will go and appeal in the Supreme Court, it's only a joke.
So let me ask you, sir, because I'm glad you painted this very wide brush and gave us the background. So in your reading, is this judgment a pushback against decades of state overreach in Hindu practices?
You see, I would rather say it is the drive of the Dravidian parties, anti-Hindu, anti-national Dravidian parties, anti-Tamil Dravidian parties. Most important, the Dravidian parties never stood for Tamil till the anti-Hindi agitation. It is not known. In fact, the first speech on Thirukkural and Thiruvalluvar by Annadurai was in 1968. The first book that Karunanidhi wrote on Thirukkural was in 1994. Till then, they shared the same view as E.V. Ramsam Naika, who said Tamil is a barbaric language. Tamil means Sanatana Dharma. And unless you destroy Tamil, you cannot produce a Dravidian land. This has been completely, because two generation is not aware of this fundamental fact, because the Congress handed over Tamil on a platter to the DMK. The entire Tamil development was by nationalists and the Congress. So it is not a pushback against the state. The state was never bad when the Congress was there in Tamil Nadu. It is only after the DMK came to power, the state became anti-Hindu. Otherwise, Tamil Nadu state, I have experienced Tamil Nadu state till 1967 when I was a college student. It was never anti-Hindu. So, the anti-Hindu ecosystem, the political culture, was created by the DMK, and the Congress, by aligning with the DMK, lost its moral authority to fight it. So, the Hindus became orphaned in politics. The Hindus in Tamil Nadu were orphaned.
So let me ask you, because the High Court said harmony cannot be enforced by curbing the rights of one faith. So I'm asking you, has secularism in Tamil Nadu effectively meant disciplining Hindu expression while accommodating others?
It went further. Tamil Nadu was the first state to define secularism as meaning, unless you are abusing the Hindus, you are not favoring the minorities. You must trivialize the Hindu faith. You must humiliate the Hindus. You must humiliate Sanatana Dharma. Then only you are supposed to be favorable to the minorities, or you are supposed to be a friend of minorities. It's a very dangerous trend. It is not that minorities should be given some economic or social benefits, or they must be given some special protection. This is proactive push for minorities. But this negative push that unless you demean, destroy, humiliate Hinduism, you are not a friend of minorities, was an invention in Tamil Nadu politics which later spread all over the country. Tamil Nadu was the place where the new political culture of demeaning Hinduism started, which extended even in the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, when the Congress began claiming that Rama was a mythological figure.
This is very interesting. This is very interesting. So let me ask you this, because I want to understand this. Does the deepathoon episode reflect a deeper pattern, where now courts will have to intervene to restore rights that governments are unwilling or reluctant to acknowledge, Hindu rights specifically? Are we seeing the beginning of this new trend? Do we, in other words, I'll just be very, very direct with you, are Hindus now going to have to run from pillar to post, legal pillar to legal post, to constantly fight for their rights in this country? Have we come to that pass? And are the courts going to be the ultimate determinants?
Actually, that is what has been happening after the Somnath Temple episode. It is the ecosystem that was generated by Nehruvian secularism, when Nehru started saying that Islamic communalism is aggressive, but Hindu communalism is dangerous. I don't know what this narrative is, which meant that Hindus are dangerous to the countries, though Muslims are aggressive. I mean, I don't know how he equated the two, and that governed the entire political discourse in this country. And the Jansangh was too weak to fight, with the RSS being blamed for the murder of Mahatma Gandhi and all that. The 2-3 decades, there was virtually no defense for Hindus in uh, Indian polity. It is the Ram Janmabhoomi movement which began to reverse this situation. So the Hindus always fought. Even Ram Janmabhoomi movement was a huge battle on the ground, in the electoral field, and in the judicial field, and even in the court. The secular parties were trying to prevent the case being heard. And they created such hurdles for the court, put such pressure on the court. The court, after all, the courts have to function in a congenial atmosphere to render justice. Always being blamed that you are this, you are that. The courts were being blamed in the manner in which some RSS and BJP was being blamed. So the Hindus not only fought in the court, they also fought against the trend to prevent the court from rendering justice to them. It's a very intricate affair at every step, because I was involved in it.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that the Hindus have always fought and they are fighting. The only thing is that there is some realization today that if it lost, this is not a sustainable model. The genuine rights of the Hindus, their aspirations will have to be recognized. And there is a broad consensus emerging, and the judiciary is falling in place.
No, but the tragedy is that, yes, now we have, for example, in the Deepathoon issue, you have a judgment that is pro-Hindu, but the DMK government doesn't want to implement it. So we have another impasse. It reminds me of, the reluctance of the state to acknowledge back in the Nehruvian era the demands, the organic demands from the Hindu community that Somnath should be reconstructed. So when the state itself begins to militate against what is a peaceful affirmation of Hindu rights, then what happens, sir? Because you have a fundamental problem then. I mean, and nothing seems to have changed in 75 years. You've probably heard of the Nehru letters that have been released, which shows sustained opposition to the reconstruction of the Somnath Temple. Now, this is very, I don't know what to make of it, because the Hindus have chosen a very peaceful way, legal path. The courts rule in their favor, and the state stands in the way.
Now, let us take Somnath. The decision to construct Somnath Temple was by a decision of the Union Cabinet. They decided, the Cabinet decided that temple should be constructed, and the Cabinet handed over the responsibility to a set of people. And Mahatma Gandhi said only one thing, that you may help in the construction, but it should be funded not by the state. This is secularism. What Mahatma Gandhi defined was secularism. That public funds should not be used for any religious purpose, but you should help all religious purpose. That is what the Chera, Chola, Pandya kings did in Tamil Nadu. They promoted all religions. They never acted against any religion. So that is our secularism, positive secularism, that promoting all genuine spiritual, religious activities which are sustained in this country for thousands of years. But the Nehruvian model, after the death of Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru thought that Somnath means religious, and so the government should not associate, and the President of India should not participate in the consecration. Was perhaps the worst example of how secularism can be negative and turned against the Hindus who constitute the core of India.
So let me just continue down this line, because many people are saying that why do these revelations matter now? They are historical footnotes, or do they reshape how Indians should understand secularism as practiced by the post-independence state. And in that context, many people say that Nehru's job was at that point to build relationships between Muslims and Hindus who had gone through this horrible scourge of partition. And therefore, he didn't want to encourage any Hindu revivalism. So they're taking a sympathetic view. How would you answer that?
You see, Jawaharlal Nehru is a politician, is a thinker, is a scholar, but he's not a historian. You know, history is the hidden memory of the people. The hidden memory of the people is very intimately associated with the soul of the people. For example, for 2000 years, the Jewish nation resided in the hearts of the Jewish people.
Yes.
Which achieved a Jewish state. Now, according to studies, over 70% of the disputes in the world, which are in the form of wars and terror, have a historical background. So you can never wipe out history. So Arnold Toynbee, when he was asked to deliver the lecture, Abul Kalam Azad Memorial Lecture, he said that these three masjids in Kashi, Mathura, and Ayodhya are an eyesore. And that wretched man, he destroyed the temples, Aurangzeb, and built these mosques. He said that, of course, Indian state has allowed it to exist. But he immediately recalled what happened when in Poland in 1619, when after Poland was defeated, Russians built the Russian Orthodox Cathedral there. When in 1919, Poland won the war, the first thing they did was to demolish their own Christian, but they built in the place of the Russian Orthodox Cathedral, the Roman, in the Warsaw Square. This demolition was relayed over television for 3 days. Toynbee says, I went there after the demolition was over, and he said probably Polish people did the right thing. And he even said, I would advise the British people to remove the remnants of colonialism in India, because this is not going to create good relationship between Britain and India. This is historical long-term view. A politician's view, which is limited to dealing with opposition parties and getting votes, which is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, never match this long-term vision. That is what made Indian secularism such a unacceptable affair.
Well, Mr. Gurumurthy, on those very insightful comments, we'll close this conversation. Wonderful speaking with you as always, Mr. Gurumurthy. Pleasure. Thank you. Viewers, I hope you're now getting to understand really why we have brought these two stories together. The Nehru letters and the deepathoon verdict. There is a continuity, and let's go back to those two windows because they really tell the story. There is a continuity there of mindset. And the most important point is that both sides, those that are blocking or tried to block Hindu aspirations, are falling foul of what is known as historical memory. And that, one believes, is a short-term view. I leave it at that.